Hello there, and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we started by tracking down an error I was seeing when loading the plugin that ended up just being a simple, incorrectly named variable. Then we started coding in the difference for deed tracker between the minimum level of a deed and if the deed requires being at server cap level. And this is because historically, if a deed needed to be done at server cap level, that was the only information that was encoded, because on a standard server, you're always at the server cap is always at least that high. So, for instance, the another Forsaken Perfect Fellowship deed might have a minimum level of 70, but on all standard servers, the cap level is already above that. And so at the time, I didn't think about legendary servers like Treebeard, where we are right now. And on legendary servers, for a while, the server cap was below level 70. And so, whoa, that's quite the big tree. And so, deed tracker wasn't able to distinguish between a deed that can't be done because you're not server cap level and a deed that can't be done because you're not the minimum level. And so, server cap is 50, you're level 50, you should be able to do this, but not, because there's also a minimum level. So, today we're going to review the state of the code where we left off, because I don't remember what we were doing, and then we're just going to keep on going. Hey, Dan, hello in chat, and hello Red Baron in chat. Welcome. As always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions, whether they're plugin specific or just Lord of the Rings in general. Always happy to get derailed by whatever. If we're very lucky, Casper might decide to come sit next to me, but I'm guessing he's watching whatever is happening in the kitchen right now. Okay, let's go ahead and move some windows around. And all right. So I still have a spreadsheet up because I was working on some Ill Omens stuff. So yeah, I can share that too. Okay. So this is what's left of the Ill Omens event, and I wish I had done this ahead of time because if you want a positive portent out of Ill Omens, you got to hit 12 days, and some of my characters couldn't go into haven't gone into Moria or into Mirkwood, or can't because their level is too low. And so they only get to go out for Strongholds of Free People and Treacherous Wilds. And so a week ago, I was like, I better plan this out. And so I was able to say, Verzekering and Baromir and Arda and Schildwacht, cool, they're going to get 12 by the end of this. And a couple of them I had to go ahead and get into Moria, get access to the Moria skirmishes, so that's Baromir and Schildwacht and Little Redhead's alts that I paired them up with. It's like, okay, I need to get into Moria so I can go ahead and get them their daily doses. So all of those are going to, if all goes well, finish off their 12, get that positive portent, be able to trade it into something. And since we're at cap level on this server, but we're not at standard server cap, those positive portents that we can get are going to be bound to account, and those are going to be working for quite some time. Oops. So this portent of strength is good until we hit maximum level 115. That's going to be a while here on Treebeard. And Arthur says, I have a spreadsheet also focusing on prioritizing skirmishes where I still need to finish encounter deeds. Ill Omens, the phase that launched 1,000 spreadsheets. Yeah, actually, so because of us being on Treebeard and the legendary deeds for Moria and for Mirkwood involve going through skirmishes, Little Redhead and I actually are really well progressed. We still need to do 3 of the Mirkwood, Protectors of Thungelhad, the Battle in the Tower, Rescue in Nurska Shrew, and that will finish us off for Skirmish of Middle Earth. And so definitely on those days when it is Mirkwood, which, what is today? Today's the 21st, that's Treacherous Wilds. So on Thursday, it's going to be worth taking our mains in there, just hoping to get those again. And also, something I've noticed about Protectors of Thanglehead is there are 3 skirmishes that seem tied together with the catapults. And if you never use the catapults, those skirmishes never seem to fire. So if you're missing a few skirmishes in Protectors of Thanglehead, actively use the catapults. Try to hit the things that are coming in. It's less powerful than me as a minstrel, it feels like, but it can get like the first time we tried it, we got one of them to trigger, and we've done that thing dozens of times. Never had them. Could have been a coincidence, but I am a believer of this technique. Dan says, forget Eve Online. We need a LOTRO Excel plugin API. I like it. So yeah, this was a basic thing. So 2 things I was interested in, or a couple things I was interested in. It was how many harbingers are our main going to encounter, because I was interested in wrapping up every deed I could. So that includes the basic 60 and advanced 120 slaying of harbingers, doesn't matter what tier you're on. And so how many harbingers max could I get each day just doing the wrapper quest? And then how many am I at, and therefore how many extra do I need? Hey Aaron Bard, welcome back. Just sort of reviewing my Ill Omens spreadsheet. And also I was curious, how many tokens am I going to get? How many tokens would I get if I run alts through these things? How many tokens is that maximum? And so in the end, I could have gotten 1,200 tokens worth, which is way more than I need. So I've stopped worrying about tokens. Now I'm just trying to get the daily increment to get as many of them to 12 as I can, and harbingers for the mains so that they can progress on that Slayer deed. So Red says, that's brilliant, I'll take 2. Yeah, it's spreadsheets are a great way to track whatever information you're interested in and automate some of the calculations if there are some. So, alright, now we're going to go ahead and close that down. Red Baron said, as I said, my deed tracker does not work. Tried it twice, removed it again, but would love to get it working. So, Red Baron, when you say it doesn't work, what I'm very curious to know is when you try to load it through the plugin manager, let's go ahead and unload it here. When you try to load it, does the bar change colors? Does something load but you don't see anything? Or does the bar never load and you get error messages in your standard output? Because those are 2 different ways of it not working for you. If the bar changes color but you just don't see anything on the screen, that would cause us to go in one direction. If the bar never changes color and instead you get an error message, that's another thing. That's daily tasks anyway. Bar does not load and error and message boxes. Awesome. Well, if you happen to be near your computer and can generate that error message, I would love to see it. Also, second question, do you ever switch languages between English and German, English and French, or whatnot? Or are you always on one language? Tracker, I try to make very good about changing languages, but there's always a chance that there's a bug in a save file from changing language, saving out something in a bad configuration. Alright, I'm going to have a cough drop here so I don't wreck my voice. I'll just drop it first. Red Baron's using the British version of the client and never changes the language. Alright, that makes it easier. As a plugin developer, I'm frequently changing client languages, and some plugins are worse behaved than others when it comes to this. It is quite possible to write a plugin that does not mess anything up when you switch client languages, but if you don't do anything and you're writing out decimal numbers to your plugin save file, then by default you will probably not work under some circumstances. Alright, well Red Baron hunts that down if you are at your computer and can do it. Let's go ahead and revisit where we were. So what I have here is I have Visual Studio Code. Let's see. The one you have is DTracker 138. Well, that sure sounds like what would be up on the website. But if you are looking for Lord of the Rings Online's plugins, LOTROinterface.com is your resource. Let's see. Whoopsie, there's a space in there. There are cats fighting in the background. Awesome. Okay, looks like version 138 is the latest released one. I'm currently working on the next one. Fantastic. But don't know if you can hear cats meowing in the background, but they are chasing each other. Excellent. Okay, yeah, so if you're able to send me that either here in Twitch chat or you can email it to me, either one's fine. And if you or anyone ever wants to email me about the D tracker, you can find in the info here that you can send stuff to lotrodtracker@gmail.com, or you can pop into the Discord server for plugin development, depending on your taste for communication. All right, so in addition to using Visual Studio Code to edit the Lua files, I'm also using the fork program from fork.dev, which is wrapping around a Git repository for source control. You don't have to use source control if you're writing an itty-bitty tiny plugin, but I recommend it even for the very start of a plugin, because you never know when a plugin is just going to start growing and growing, and it just gets so much easier to kind of reset and fix mistakes and be like, oh man, this was working yesterday. What did I do between then and now? It just gets so much easier with source control. Just see what you did. All right, so globals.lua, that's just our debug flag. So nothing to do there. We have some to do, including a documentation, good progress, but we should look at Shadows of Agmar completion when going to character level 74. We see 91 out of 79 because the completed cap levels aren't being counted. But we could have completed them at another cap level. Nice. Yeah, we should definitely take a look at that. And, oh, I had a thought about something. I'm going to save that thought for later. To-do file changes. All right, what else do we have? Oh, sweet. Red Baron has messaged me. I'm going to take a look at that because I'm very curious. All right. Oh, excellent. Excellent. Okay. I say excellent not because it's a good error. In fact, I'll just pull it on out here because there's no identifying information that I see. Okay, this is an error message that I am getting rid of the cause of in the new version. But what this is when you try to load it on up, you will see the path. So plugins, cube plugins, that's me, D tracker, timer.lua want attempt to call a global class. This is a classic error message, and what this error message means is that the prerequisite is not installed. So when we go to the installation and startup of the D tracker page, we want to look at this one. First, make sure you have the turbine classes and examples installed. Now, if you install with the plugin compendium, this will do it automatically for you, or should do it automatically for you. There could be a bug with that, of course. But if you install with LOTRO Plugin Compendium, it should get that automatically. But if not, go to this website. Let's go ahead and get that up. So, install these to get rid of that error message. In fact, I might save that off and put that into the YouTube link later. Okay, so this is, let's go ahead and just download it. This contains files from then Turbine that, that will look like this. It'll look like Turbine, and underneath that it'll have things including class.lua, which is being referenced by DTracker. DTracker 3 is going to pull in the couple of files here, timer and class and one or two others, and pull those in and package those up and ship them out as part of DTracker so that that error message will be a thing of the past. And in fact, if we look at I just realized. I was going to say, if we look at the plugins folder, but I haven't updated the plugins folder. So let's come on in to the plugin manager, we can see a whole bunch of plugins here. So I'm going to go ahead and move. Let's see. So we have plugins here. I'm going to move those into a backup folder. And so I'm just leaving Q plugins, but crucially, I'm moving the turbine folder. That's not going to be there anymore. Aaron Bard says, what was that plugin assistant I mentioned? I will circle back around in just a moment. Oh, so we see in plugins, there's just Q plugins. That's because in Deed Tracker, I've gone ahead and added a turbine files directory with the things that I need. Red Baron says, it's working now, cheers, awesome. So let me go ahead and minimize that down. So Aaron Bard, when we do the plugins command, here in chat, you'll see you can use this program to manage your LOTRO plugins. It is the LOTRO Plugin Compendium. I just followed that link there in chat. This is a standalone program. You don't have to use it. You can do all your plugin installations manually. But if you download this program from community member Lunar Water, it can automate the installation of your plugins. So for instance, let's say I wanted to add the travel window plugin. I currently don't have it installed. I can come on in to the Add New Plugins tab, find travel window, click Add, and it is done. It's already downloaded it, extracted it. If there were any prerequisites, it's downloaded them and installed them as well. And we can see, yes, it downloaded Travel Window 2 and also the turbine folder. So if I go ahead and refresh now, I have Travel Window 2. Fantastic. And Travel Window is very useful, highly recommended if you have a lot of travel skills, which happens to most characters as they progress, and especially to hunters or wardens. Aaron Bard says, and this will cure Red Baron's type error. Red Baron's error was caused because this turbine folder was not there. You can always install that manually. But plugins can tell Plugin Compendium, hey, I need this other thing in order to work. It's called a prerequisite. And if LOTRO Plugin Compendium sees that your plugin has a prerequisite that you don't already have downloaded, it'll download that too. And we can see that if we come into the Travel Window 2 folder and open up the plugin compendium, we can see that this has a dependency. This is a special dependency. 0 is those turbine files. So if you have a dependency of 0, you need those turbine files. And that's why Plugin Compendium knew to go ahead and grab that. In fact, we can see it in action. If we come on out, let me go ahead and unload that plugin. Come on out and just delete Travel Window 2. And redo it, refresh. We'll go ahead and add that again. We can see it went ahead and re-downloaded the prerequisite. If we are only missing this, and we say add, then it only downloads the one that we need. So LOTRO Plugin Compendium, very handy. So, as I said, this is a third-party plugin that third-party program that you can download and run. Obviously, SSG is taking no liability or warranty or blah, 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 but it's worked very well for so many people. If we pop them down here and look at the downloads, we can see it's been downloaded 368,000 times, and it's pretty spiffy. But it does nothing that you can't do manually. So if you're at all worried about downloading some strange program, don't worry about it. Just do it by hand. Just download the things, stick them in your plugins directory, it'll be fine. But LOTRO Plugin Compendium is just super useful. Okay, awesome. Red Baron, the other thing you might want to do is think about the import process. So where is that? If you go to deedtracker.lifebeyondtheshire.com and look at the import deed completion from LOTRO Companion, you can speed up your import. Check out this. All right, pre-type that up for later. You can use the LOTRO Plugin Compendium to speed things up. And what does that mean? Well, if we make sure everything's unloaded and come on in to our Q plugins, we want to come into plugin data. I'm just going to blow away my plugin data for my account by renaming it. That way I don't actually delete it. If I load up deed tracker, it's not going to know about any of the deeds that I've completed because that's not a thing we have access to through the LOTRO API. So we can see it thinks I have 0 of 2,919 deeds available. Now if we come on and say, oh, the Legendary server actually has a cap of 75, it'll hopefully downgrade the number of deeds that are available. Oh, it's basing it off of my level anyway. That's excellent. What we want to do is maybe speed up so we don't have to click off every deed manually. In that case, we can launch the LOTRO Companion. This is a different third-party application that can kind of peek into LOTRO and get a sense of what's going on. So I just told it to go ahead and do a scan. And specifically, I'm interested in deeds. There we go. Awesome. And it's done. And at that point, we can come back in to our plugins, Q plugins, deed tracker, and look for this thing called import deed completion from LOTRO Companion, and you'll see it's an HTML application. If we launch that, it's going to show us any of the characters we've done an import from. In this case, it's Treebeard Affodil. I'll hit the import button, and the next time I load deed tracker, it'll say, hey, you've got all these deeds completed. Do you want to go ahead and import them? Let's look and see what that looks like. Okay, so deed tracker says you've got 1,190 completed deeds. Would you like to go ahead and import that? And we can see a list of them. All of these should be marked off, but they're not within deed tracker. So if we go ahead and say import, we're done. Super easy. And we can see now we've got 1,186 visible deeds complete out of 2,919. Hooray! Excellent. And specifically, we can see we've done so much of Eriador. Look at all those blue bars. What are we missing? Rolling threats and treasure the missing mountains. Right. So there are a couple of options in deed tracker that I really like do not include deeds above character level. There we go. That's what I was missing. And I also like to hide completed deeds. So now we can see there's only 59 deeds remaining in Eriador. Looks like a bunch of Dunland stuff and a bunch of Cardalon stuff. And let's not forget those Delphings. Those are going to stick around for a while. Cool. So, Red Baron or anyone else who likes to using deed tracker but doesn't want to manually click off your deeds, there is a faster way if you want it. Okay. So, popping back into the code, what did we do last time? So we had some good progress. We said to ourselves, we have made a comment and added some code here. But what does the code do? Well, let's put a pin in that for a moment. Let's look at plugin functions. Looks like we have a cast to make sure something is a number. Nice. That by itself seems like a good commit to have. Looks like we changed the implementation of one function. We added a couple of new functions. Changed a call to get level to a different get level call. We can explore why that is in a second. Added a new line. I'm just going to discard that. Yep. Added a new check. Awesome. And strings. We added a new string. Oh, yes, I see. Okay. So let's come back in we've got the main win, and we also want to take a look at plugin functions more thoroughly. Strings, this is very nice. We're just adding the server cap string. For min level, we are adding the level to the text, or we're adding a format string there. That should probably be its own commit. So we'll revisit that in just a moment. Okay, what do we have here? The very first thing is get level. We were forcing the thing that we're returning to be a number. And that just seems like a good thing to do. Let's go ahead and commit that right now. So, force result of get level to be considered a number. Now, I suspect we needed to do this because sometimes it was being more string-like, and we really needed it to be a number. So, hopefully this is not going to come back and bite us as an improper thing to do. Okay. Now, that string, the min level, I would like to keep an eye on where that's being used. I suspect it's being used in the main win. Yes, ding ding. Okay, yes it is. So what we would want it to look like, instead of all of this change, we'd want to go ahead and change this to be a string.format instead of a concatenation. And I think I like the idea of capturing that separately, so we can just go ahead and... Aaron Bard says concatenation. That is the word you will hear very commonly in software engineering, computer programming, that means sticking two pieces of text together. And so you can think about it like addition for text. So if the first thing is cube and the next thing is plugins, and you concatenate them together, you get cube plugins. This is a really useful term to know, even if you're not a programmer, because you'll see it pop up in things that are programming adjacent, like Excel. So if you come in here and you have one cell that says cube, another that says plugins, and you want to stick those together, then you can concatenate them with the concat function, or you can probably spell it all out, equals concatenate, and then tell it the things you want to concatenate. Cube plugins. Awesome. And so even if you're not programming, knowing that concatenation is the thing for sticking two pieces of text together is really handy, because then you'll be like, oh, well, I want to add two things together. You know, can I do equals this plus this? No, that's for numbers. Sorry. So then knowing that concatenation might be a thing that you can do. And you can also just do ranges like this. Hey, Arthur points out the classic print out command in Unix is cat also, leading to jokes. Dan says, "Why is what I do in my day job on Twitch?" I got to tell you, if you're a software engineer or a programmer and you don't use Excel on a regular basis, then you're doing things differently than I do. That's all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out this change locally so that I can put in the change for this string format separately than everything else we're doing. So the way that looks is we're actually just going to go ahead and bring all the old stuff forward and then undo what we've just done. So Beyond Compare knows there's unsaved changes. We're going to bring them back. Aaron Bard, yes. Excel is so useful for so many things. Dan says, Egg Arthur, thank you for triggering a flashback. Fair enough. If it was the Unix that is your day job, then I'm sorry. I used Linux on a job once, and it was after spending years on Linux. And the version of Unix we were using was quite old. And so it was the kind of thing where it didn't have Vim. It might have had VI, it had Emacs. I think. And so it was one of those, oh, I can use VI, not Vim. Half the things that my muscle memory wants me to do don't work, and a bunch of other things don't work the way I wanted them to do. And so it was definitely a more painful experience than I was expecting it to. I was expecting a lot more, in my head, I was expecting a lot more compatibility between Linux and Unix, and maybe a more modern version of Unix would have been, but that wasn't what I was doing. All right, so we're going to come on in here to main win. We're going to come back in here to main win. And where did my win to go? There it is. And we can see this is line roughly 1123. So let's pop on down there. And we can see, let's go ahead and get a little more stuff. This is in the if level 2 high section. Awesome, we're in the right place. So we want to grab this min level string. So local min level string. Whoa, that's a lot of white space. Okay, Shane says, I would love to work on old Unix systems, but stuck with Excel coding at work. I've done actually more Google Sheets scripting than I have Excel scripting, I think. Although I was just looking at Excel's validation dropdowns and not being very satisfied with how they work. And the first resource I found online was like, yeah, you can totally replace those with some VB script or whatever, Excel scripting that produces a combo box on top of it and synchronizes its values to it, but then you can customize the scripting combo box. And I was like, yeah, okay. But I put that aside because like, this is for a game that I'm playing, a board game that I'm playing, so it's lower priority. And Brett says, is it possible to do all the things on Linux that Windows does? Conceptually, this is not my area of focus, but many of the tasks that you want to complete are of course doable on Linux, and many of the programs that you would run on Windows can be emulated on Linux or have Linux variations. But emulation often comes with a performance penalty, and so you might find that the more performance-intensive things like video games or programs like Photoshop or video editing softwares might not perform as well under emulation. Your mileage may vary, and emulation gets better every decade, so try it out before trusting some random person online. All right, we've got a min-level string here. And we need to make sure it's after min-level. Min-level string equals string format. We're going to go ahead and format that min-level with this. And we know now that min-level is looking like this, minimum level colon that. Fan says, the Steam Deck is doing good things for Linux gaming. Good point. I keep seeing people saying that they're playing Lord of the Rings Online on the Steam Deck, and it boggles my mind because it's like, how do you play an MMO without a full keyboard and mouse setup? And the answer is with minimal typing. All right, so we have the get string deeds minimum level, and let's go back and see what that strings change was. It was colon space. So the only thing is we're throwing that into the string format. Awesome. So here is the replacement here. That should be deed name concatenate with parentheses, min-level string, close parentheses. And ideally, we're going to see that over here as well. I'm going to get myself a backup just in case I do something sad. We're going to see that as well. Deed name, open parentheses, min-level string, cap string, which we don't have yet, close string. Awesome. And if we want to make this merge friendly, we'll go ahead and split out the declaration initialization here in a moment. But let's just take a look and see what that looks like. And in fact, we should double check the syntax if we're about to commit that into our repository. Awesome. No deeds matching filter. I really feel, yeah, there we go. That's probably because I had a filter. Yeah. Okay. Let's come on in here, and we can see instead of concatenating that min level, we're now doing a string dot format. Awesome. Added level parameter to min level string. So we're going to go ahead and commit that. We're going to go ahead and commit this part. Well, interesting. Why does it think? It does not. Okay. Okay. There's nothing changing about the end of that line. Good. No, stop asking me. But don't actually. All right, so we're going to go ahead and commit just those 2 lines there. And we can see that we're just adding the parameters, the format strings. All right. And in main win, we're just taking that. Awesome. Why are we going through all this trouble? Breaking conceptual pieces apart does make it easier to reason about them when you're looking at commits like this. And it makes it easier to move backwards and forwards if you wanted to remove just one part but not another. If possible, breaking your commits into logical chunks instead of just being like, here's 50 files that changed, with a commit message of made things better. It's a way to make future you happier at the cost of maybe some pain for present you. Okay, plugin functions, we're not worried about that. Okay, yeah, we're good. So what I want to do now is come back in, and what I mentioned before, let's split this out. Min level string equals quote, and min level string equals this. And this is important because we know we're about to split that into pieces. All right, so this is split initial declaration and initialization in preparation for more changes. Cool, done. Now we can come back to our comparison program and say, put all of the stuff back that we had. And then when we come on in here, ideally, we're going to see something that looks a little bit more sensible. Little Redhead says, and I missed where this is chaining into, but Tan, the wiki says you can be a dwarf hunter. Why not? You got me curious. Yeah, we'll just get that loading up in the background. So we've got a comment here. We've got a cap string to go with the min level string. We've got some conditional statement around the setting of the min level string. In fact, we can see that's been indented a little bit. We've got some initialization of cap string. And then we've got a to-do, which is no longer true. And now we're just adding in the cap string to this. So the modification of where we were to where we're going has a lot less superfluous stuff going on. All right, new character. Let's be Dwarfy. Dwarf Hunter is valid. Manhunter. High Elf. Yeah. Stout Axe. Yeah. Hobbit, of course. Elves can be hunters, and just not Bjornings. So it would appear everyone who's not a Bjorning can be a hunter. So if the wiki says that, then the wiki conforms to what I see. Though, why would you want to be anything but a hobbit, I guess? Hobbit hunter. Yeah. Go shoot spiders. I appreciate the hobbit starting point is Bag End. Like, Lobelia is just sitting there like, I wish these hobbits would stop popping into existence in front of me. Alright, enough of that intro music. Okay, so this feels like a more logical commit because we're only doing what we need in order to get that cap string in there. We're not also changing how we're displaying the min level string. All we've done with that is indented it to be in that new conditional. So that makes me much happier. Awesome. Plugin function-wise, what do we need? We have get deed minimum level. Nope, we're already doing that. Well, maybe. Let's see. Get deed minimum level, we already had that, but we are making some changes to it. What else do we have? Get level. Yeah, we had that. We're making that two-number change to it. Let's go ahead and reload both of these files. So plugin functions and main win. Yeah. And is deed cap level. We need that function. And that sounds like a new one. Yep. There we go. Is deed cap level. Let's go ahead and force this to be a little bit more close. All right. So we can see get deed minimum level. We've gone ahead and modified to remove the idea of cap. Is deed cap level. We've added that. Is character cap level. We've added that. Now, any place where we weren't already using the get level function, we really needed to be. So that's its own thing. Force checks of level to use get level. And this is because for my development purposes, I want to be able to force the character level to be something. And so all the checks have to go through that get level function. If they go straight to the character object, they're going to get what the game actually thinks my level is, not what I've told it to know. Oh, I see. I see what's going on. There's some kin chatter. Okay, so yes, we want to force that use of get level. Let's go ahead and do that. That is here, and that is here. Force checks the level to use get level. Moved to number into function. Great. The redhead says, wouldn't it be... Oh. Yes, everybody says it's Lobelia's life lesson. The redhead says, wouldn't it be hilarious is each hobbit who popped into existence by Bag End and Lobelia had a spoon sticking out of their pocket. I really feel like hobbits should probably start with a spoon as their main hand weapon. It feels more in line with things. Okay, I think we're good here. So we're going to commit that. Then we can go ahead and re-pop open that comparison. So these are a few helper functions here, and I think we can go ahead and probably be up to committing them. In main window, what we were doing was looking at that cap level stuff. Let's make sure we understand what we're looking at here. We'll come into instances, Shadows of Angmar, and we're going to come on in and say my level is 74. Boop. Great. We're going to come on in and make sure that expansion saves. And where were we? Oh, this is a legendary server. That would be helpful. Alright, we have the perfect fellowship here, minimum level 70. If I move our level to 75, that is not showing up yet. But, oh, of course, sorry, cap on the server is 75. If I move us to 75, perfect fellowship is available. If I set to 74, we can see it goes away. Awesome. And if we go to 69, we can see it says minimum level 70. Okay, if I say 70, okay, it is not doing what we want yet because we didn't reload the plugin after we saved those changes. We have to remember to reload to pick up code changes. It's a good way to beat your head against the wall, is to not pick up code changes and then nothing is working. All right, let's go ahead and change to 74. Awesome. We can see the server cap is 75. If we come on down to 60, high 60s, we can see minimum level is 70. Awesome. So if we went to 10, we can see minimum level excavator of the Forsaken Inns is 15. Now it's server cap 75. And we can come on back high 60s, minimum level 70. All right, let's get to level 70. That was a fast 70. Server cap 75. That's exactly what I wanted to see, is you're not at the minimum level for the steed, and also you need to be at server cap. There's not a lot of space on the line, so in a perfect world, maybe you'd want to have both that information, like there's a minimum level and server cap, but there's minimal amounts of room here, so we've got to pick our battles. Once you get to level 75, cool, they are available. Now, if we go ahead and don't hide our completed deeds, we can see the bug that we were looking at before, which is if you're below server cap, those deeds get excluded from the total available count, except if you have completed them, then they get counted in the completion count. So we should do something about that. Erenbart says, hobbits start with table knives, if I recall. Well, if they don't, they can definitely pick one up from the Matham Society. Erenbart says, I love the fact that your first pocket item from Bartleby is a handkerchief. Nice. What about a new deed, asks Stan, for finding hidden stuff that Lobelia has pilfered from Bag End? I think you'd need to have that be, I don't know, a session play almost, or something, an instance, because Lobelia in present time is the quote-unquote rightful owner of Bag End. Maybe if SSG puts together a scouring of the Shire instance for the adventures of whatever, that could be a part of it, right? Like recovering items after Lobelia vacates Bag End. Hunt all over the Shire for these things. Like, I could see a deed like, you found item 1 out of 200. The spoons alone are a full set of 40. Like, find a spoon in every inn plus a bunch of other places. I could see that. I would do that. Okay, so so that is a bug that we noticed, but in general, I think the text update is doing great. So let's go ahead and take a snapshot of that. Erenbard says they did a flashback for Gandalf at Khazad-dûm. Maybe they could do a flashback instance. That is true. You can always do flashback instances or session plays to go back in time for, Bilbo coming back and there being misleading spoons. You could do that. Yeah, if it was an instance, you could definitely have deeds associated with it. It's my only regret about session plays for, especially the chicken session plays, is that there are deeds that you finish in there, but they don't come to your main character. You have to complete the quest outside once you are back on your main character, and then you get credit for things. But all of those discovery deeds that you do on your chicken, you don't get to keep them. Plus side, you get to redo them every time you go do free range again. But, okay, so update. Deed label to show min level or server cap text. Alright, so we've added the comment. We've updated how this is done. Stage that. That's too early. Let me save that commit text just a moment, because we want these plugin functions. So let's go ahead and capture them. Update get deed minimum level to no longer handle cap text, because it's not there anymore. So is it cap is never going to run. We're only ever going to get this. So we can just go ahead and commit that. We also have, what is going on here? We also have two new functions. Is the cap level is character cap level. So that's good. And then using them and get deed indices is going to be just a moment. All right. So added functions is deed cap level and is character cap level. Nice. And we're just taking that one. I heard my phone go ding, and I don't want it to go ding, so silenced. Oh, I missed the server cap text. Missed commit server cap text. All right, so we have two uses, and these are, I think, the ones that are causing us a bug in a glitch in the UI. So we're gonna hold off on committing those until we're happy with it. Ow. Oops. It wasn't a miscommit. I hadn't done it yet. Server cap text usage commit. Oops. In fact, here's the actual commit message we saved off. Update the level to show min level or server cap text. Awesome. And that brings us back down just to a couple of small changes that we need to look at to figure out this bug. Because we had good progress done. Awesome. So Shadows of Angmar completion when character going to level 74. We see 91 out of 79. Yep. Because the completed cap level deeds aren't being counted. But we could have completed them at an earlier cap level. So these Great Barrow ones, let's go ahead and bring ourselves back down to, say, level 10. We can see the minimum level there is 50. So when we pop up to level 50, we should see a server cap notice. But if you're on a legendary server, or really any server, you could have completed these at a lower cap level. So we want to go ahead and take that into account. And specifically, we want to take it into account in the total available deeds number. So we need to track that down. Okay, let's figure out where that 79 number is coming from or 78. Did I uncheck something? I might have. Or I mistyped it. Let's see where that number is coming from. And so for that, we're going to go ahead and minimize our repository. We're going to go ahead and close out of our comparison. And we're going to close a few other things that have crept open. Yes, I want to quit. Okay. And let's go ahead and bring ourselves into main win. So this is the... Oh, that's interesting. We're also at minus 30 on... Alright, Mines of Moria is just going to be all sorts of messed up because of that minimum level. Let's go ahead and change our level here. Make Mines of Moria happier. Okay. So, Shadows of Angmar. We can see there's that bar there, and we're going to want to find out where that happens. If we scroll up to the top of this ridiculously long and in need of refactoring function, refresh deeds view, we can see that we're looking at total deeds this page. Let's figure out what that is. Okay, so we're incrementing it based on if something is not a category and the level's not too high and it is not available. It is not available. but we were overloading the level too high. And this is where we probably need to go ahead and update deed skip info to know if something is server cap. Because we were overloading the level too high in a way that's probably just not going to be sustainable. So let's come take a look at that. All right, level too high. Skip if deed is server cap and we are not. We just overloaded that level too high. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So local is server cap equals false. We're going to want to use that instead. And so come back into level too high. That's going to be is server cap equals true. Is deed cap level and is not is character cap level. Oh, that's not even is server cap. Is deed cap level and not is character cap level. I didn't name that right. Is not available due to server cap. Not yet server cap. Needs server cap. I'm trying to capture two things. Like, it is a server cap deed, and you're not there yet. Needs server cap, is that good enough? I hate naming things. Naming things is terrible. Needs server cap. Waiting for server cap. Not yet server cap. But the deed is server cap. You're not server cap. I'm not server cap. At server cap. Valnier says, maybe? So what I want from this is if this variable is true, then the deed should register as not currently available because it requires deed server cap and the player is not yet server cap. Redhead suggests I'm server cap and so is my wife. Everything's good except the apostrophe. It's not legal in a variable name, but the rest of it's great. I'm gonna go with need server cap, and I'm predicting in 5 minutes gonna be like, oh, that's a terrible name. Why did I do this? All right, so need server cap equals true. And then we need to remember to return this from the function. So we're just going to tack it onto the end here, because what I don't want to do is reorder every function that calls, or every variable list capturing the results of this function. But what I do want to do is go ahead and get that. Okay. So if we find get deed skip info everywhere, then what we want to do is go ahead and grab that, needs server cap. Why are you squiggly? That needs a nil check. I don't care about that right now. I probably should, but I don't. Alright. Get deed skip info is returning. I'm just going to take a little screenshot. Great. So, just to check, hide deed, skip deed, level too high, is category, is not available, is already complete. This is the sign that I should be returning a structure, right? This is a sign that I am not doing this as well as I could be. I should be returning a structure so I don't have to worry about missing things. I don't have to assign things I don't care about. I just get a table with the stuff that I need. I'm not doing that yet. But I really should be. And so, I can note to myself, note, return values should be replaced with a structure because it feels very fragile. Neat. Also, am I mounted? No. Whose horse was that? Sure sounded like my horse. Okay, clear that. Okay, but that being said, we're going to go ahead and add it in here as well. Need server cap equals that. And Brett appreciates Little Redhead's variable name suggestion. I do too, but can't do apostrophes.
There's no apostrophe in it.
And there's an apostrophe. I see one in I'm.
Oh.
Classically spelled with an apostrophe. Famously spelled with an apostrophe.
I left it out of the so's.
That's true. Little Redhead left the apostrophe out of so's, my wife. So there's one less apostrophe than normal. Okay, so we have needs server cap. So we can come back into where our changes were and take a look at how that's being used. So let's look at line 424 a moment. Well, that's not right. Let's look at line 424 in the correct file. So we already were getting... Is deed cap level, is character cap level. I'm trusting. So this is checking for, is this deed in the running for completing? We're going to go ahead and leave this as is. All right. In fact, yes, uncompleted deed names. Yeah, okay. We have a debug statement. This is not going to go in, but I do want to make sure that debug statement is actually registering things. All right, we have this. So let's look at lines 874 and 272. We're going to start with 272. All right, so we have, what are we doing in here? This is the set deed complete. We're looking for a cascade completion. Should we check all deeds below it? Doesn't really seem about, I mean, if we completed something, yeah, I think we can safely ignore that. And this is a case where we're only looking at maybe half the variables that were returned from that function, but I'm nervous about not recording all of them. Lua doesn't care if you leave off some of the later variables, but I'm worried about getting out of sync between function declaration and invocation, which is another reason this should just be a structure that gets returned. Aaron Bart says, just don't use contractions. It's just not the same thing, is it? Okay. So that being said, I think in this case, I don't care about that. We're going to come back into line 874 a moment. All right, line 874. This is excellent. I'm seeing counting. Check deed data. Count this deed if it applies to this character. All right, so we, if it's not a category, if we're not hiding it, if we're not skipping it, if it's not level 2 high, so yes, that's fine, and is not available. Awesome. So the total deed count, we want to increase the total count if let's see. Let's pretend like I haven't done this Great Barrow Sambrog wing here. Okay, so I don't want to count it as an available deed unless it's already completed, in which case I want to count it in both the numerator and the denominator. So, I want the total deed count to go up if it is complete, or it is not needs server cap. So if, let's see, is complete or not needs server cap, then normally all deeds at this point count unless they're not complete and need the server cap. Okay. Let's... Why are you complaining? You're not. Okay. You're still catching up. Alright, so the denominator is taken care of, I think, by this. If it should be counted, it'll get counted, otherwise it won't. And then if it's complete, then the total completed is getting added. I think that is fine. And if it's not complete, then we go ahead and get the LOTRO points in the VXP. Alright, maybe that's sufficient. Let's go ahead and reload and see what we've got here. Okay, so we can see Sambrog Wing, we've got not ready. We've got 89 out of 98 here. If we change the level, pretty sure that needed to be server cap. It probably didn't. Alright, let's come back into the perfect fellowship. Alright, so if we change to level 75, we can see total 91 of 98. If we come down to 70. Alright, well, it's not... We're not staying quite right here. Minimum level 70. Alright. We need to be paying attention to that high level thing, and we're not. And that's probably a main window problem as well. Right. So let's look at line 973 here, where we have that change. And we have this need server cap grayed out because we're not paying attention to it. And let's look at where we were looking at level too high. Alright, if it's not a category, and if it's not too high, and if it is available, I'm second guessing myself because the plugins function here with the need server cap is only currently being set if the deed is cap level and the character is not. But I think what we really care about is the deed's cap level and the character is not cap level and it's not complete. But if we do that composition here, then if we ever care about it being separate, then would we ever care about it being separate? Because if we're not at cap level, but it was completed, then it's fine, right? Just treat it like a completed normal deed. Don't worry about it. So we're only interested in a deed that is a cap level deed, but we're not at cap level yet, and it's not done. So I think I want to roll the completion status is already complete into this check right here. If an undone deed is server cap and we are not. So if is deed cap level and here and not that, and not is already complete. I'm hearing noises like the cat's jumping on the counter in the kitchen or something.
Yeah, he's just a little chair on the table.
Alright. He's just on a chair. Do not need to protect the food. Okay. So, the first of the two. And needs server cap come on in here. So, if not is category, and not 2 level, and not is available, and not needs server cap. And where else would we be using this? We can actually split this code out then. Else if needs server cap, then marks that we're below the deed level. Marks the cap level for the deed. Alright, so here's where we want to go ahead. We've got the min level string. We're going to pull out the cap string. Get level is less than get deed minimum level. We don't need that because we're already looking at the min level string. So we're going to kill that, move the cap string initialization on there. In fact, at this point, we can just recombine the initialization and declaration back together. And we've got a label deed name set text and a deed for color. And we'll go ahead and lift that as well. Getting rid of the cap string there, getting rid of the min level string here. And are we happy with that? I'm actually less happy with all of these different things setting the text and deed for color, potentially. Rather than just having a variable which is like... I guess we are doing that with the deed for color. All these calls to set text instead of just a variable that this is the text we're setting, and then altering that makes me feel a little weird about that. But we're going to avoid thinking about that too much. Alright, that's already an improvement. Let's refresh and see if we think it's complete or not. Alright, server cap. We're seeing a server cap. Awesome. Let's go back below level 70. Minimum level, yes. The checkbox disappeared. That's concerning. Why is the checkbox gone? Comes back though. That's cool. Okay. If I go back below level 70, checkbox disappears. I don't remember modifying any checkbox code, and yet it does. Let's make a note of that so we don't forget it. Going below level 70 now makes the checkbox disappear? Question mark? Exclamation point? Question mark? I will register my surprise here. Let's look at everything else though. Set the checkbox aside. We have the perfect fellowship, 75. Alright, so let's go ahead and come to level 75. And we can see the number went from 98 down to 96. And Shadows of Angmar, are those the only things that are changing? Hard to say. All of these other things. That's 125. Holy moly, so much stuff. Let me back up a sec. Hide completed deeds a moment. All right, so we have server cap 75, 75, bunch of 125s. Search foreign, haven't gotten to it yet. Seems really cool. 125s, no. 125s, great. And a time-gated search foreign, which if it's not over yet, it's going to be really soon. All right, so I'm reasonably happy that these are the only two server cap 75s that we're dealing with. So when we get to level 75, look at that, I'm level 75. Those two come off, and our completion went from 91 out of 60, 91 out of 96 to 91 out of 98. I am very happy with those numbers not shooting out past the end anymore. So why is that checkbox disappearing? That is so weird. Let's pause and consider whether we want to take a snapshot of where we are first. I'm going to actually promote this to a to-do file change because, my goodness. All right, so what was that? Get deeds to skip info is the name of it. No, get deeds skip info return values should be that. Everybody asks, where do things like checkboxes get built? Great question. It is getting built in this humongously overcomplicated file with about 1,500 lines of code, and it's getting built nearby, and that is a key thing. So we just were in the if level 2 high branch, and we split that out into if it's too high or if it needs server cap. But what that does mean is that we skip past the not available and then the else. So the label D name should be set, and that should be good. Label D name should be followed by a checkbox. Check completed. And here we can see maybe there's always been this lack of a checkbox. Yes, okay. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but the checkbox is missing. Is it like that normally? Probably. Well, hey, anyone watching who's got DTracker open, if you go into an area way beyond where you are, like, are the checkboxes missing? I guess that's a design feature. I just forgot about it. Okay, so checkbox is missing because you're not high enough level for it. I guess we've got that for Willow also. I just don't remember doing that. Neat. Okay, never mind. Checkbox is great. Checkbox is working great. Well, what was I thinking? It's fine. This is all fine. So yes, as Aaron Barr's question led us, we have a check, and we don't bother making the checkbox if our check, if it's a category, then we don't make a checkbox. Let's see, if the level's too high, or if it's already it's not too high, or if it's oh yes, so if we've completed it, maybe that's what I was thinking. If we've completed it, then we'll show the checkbox anyway. So minimum level 70, mark that, complete that, knock it back down to 65. Checkbox is still there in case you need to uncheck it. And then if we refresh, then the checkbox goes away. Yeah, Stan, so that's a good variable name. I code so much I forget what I did. Yes, that would be all my variables though, which is not a good idea. Okay, so cool feature, not a bug. Great, love it, ship it. So at this point, we can go ahead and say added needs server cap to get deed skip info. And we're going to go ahead and commit that here. And here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Awesome. So, is that all of them? We added that to the result. To the result, here's where we actually do it. And, oh, not that. Okay, so here's where we add it, and all the places that call it capture it. And then we can go ahead and update our to-do. Great. And this is where we can say separated idea server cap deeds from deeds with minimal levels. Okay, and that is in main window. We check for not needs server cap. Great. We've split out the level 2 high from the needs server cap stuff in the UI. And in plugin functions, we're skipping looking for matches based on is deed cap level and is not character cap level. And we've got a debug in there. And I feel like I want to test that before we actually commit. So let's go into plugin functions. And that's line 424. Okay, so if deed, okay, so what we want to do is try to complete excavator of the Forsaken Caverns. Complete. Oh, we need to turn verbose logging on. Complete, skipping possible because it's cap, which is above character level 65. Awesome. If we increase character level to 70, oh, perfect fellowship would be a better choice. The perfect fellowship. All right, so first of all, complete that, skipping that because it's min level 70 is above character level. Awesome. Let's go ahead and set the level. Great. Complete that again, skipping it again. Did not find a deed matching the perfect fellowship. Awesome. Come on up to level 75. And finally, we did it. Yay! We completed the perfect fellowship. Good job. But not really. But, hey, Weirwill, if you're watching, perfect fellowship's min level 70. We could go do that next time the three of us are online. Bjorning Hunter Minstrel. It's the perfect fellowship. Da 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 da. Okay. So I'm liking this. Do I care about this debug message? I think the debug message is fine. Most people aren't going to see it. And if you're completing things, yeah, I think I want to see that for now. So I like it. So skip the deed. Skip if deed is capital and we are not. Yes. Skipping possible deed. The error message is fine, so we're going to include that. And the total deed count, we're only going to include server cap deeds if we've already completed it. Awesome. Love it. That's it. Success. We have successfully taught deed tracker the difference between a deed with a minimum level and a deed that must be completed at server cap. Yay! Exactly then. A minstrel tank, and then a Bjorning and a hunter for DPS. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be the perfect fellowship. Well, Aaronbard, thank you for the congratulations. It hopefully is not preemptive. We do try to check our work, but I feel pretty good about this as an initial commit. So we're gonna go ahead and commit that, and that's it's one more thing that's done. It's one more thing that needs a little testing to make sure I didn't miss any edge cases, as we were saying last time with the min-max deed counts. But we're just getting closer and closer to something being right. Now, the get deed skip info. This is getting more and more cumbersome. I'd like to say this is going to be the last time we add a return parameter, but I probably thought that last time. And so while we're thinking about this function, while we're looking at this function, maybe it's time to do something about it. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's used in 3 locations and I can just suck it up. But it would be maybe neat to have a table structure. Now, what I don't have is the power of annotation. And maybe the power of annotation would be nice. But if I was going to return something, it would be a single thing with a single table with these values. What would that look like? Local question equals. So if I was making a table, it would just look like this, right? It would just be hide deed equals hide deed, right? So if that's what it's going to look like, maybe we can just do a quick little transform and say, great, let's find every comma space here. Go ahead and that equals that semicolon. Except that's not quite right because tables require us to go ahead and have like keys and stuff. So I guess it would look like that, and then question dot hide deed is a thing that we could do. So if we go ahead and just return that question, and look at that in one of the places. So if we go ahead and capture that question, and then just do a dump, right? We'll go ahead and just check if deed name equals the perfect fellowship. Then we're going to go ahead and dump out possible structure. Sorry, that should be debug. Dump question end. Let's give that a try. Let's see what happens. Nope, that doesn't work. All right, first of all, I'm getting an error message in 975. Because oh, that's exciting. Yes, I am using double equals. All right, well, LOTRO didn't like something, maybe. I'm waiting for the program to respond. Wait. It's unusual for something like this to happen during plugin development. And yet, there we go. So something happened that caused the game to be thinking for a long time. And the code base for Lord of the Rings Online is somewhat probably dates back 20 years, right? Like the game came out 15 years ago and they were working on it for years before it went into release. And some of that code that they started with probably came from other projects. And 15, 20 years ago, asynchronous programming was not really a technique that was in the forefront of people's minds. I'm sure there were people using it, probably not for game development. Like multi-threaded stuff, sure, but it's super easy if you have a UI thread. For the UI thread to go do something that should be a short operation, but it takes a while, and then the UI stops responding. And the way Windows knows if a program is responding or not is if the UI thread is pumping messages, because it'll be like, "Hey, are you there?" And if your UI thread's not pumping messages and responding to those things, then Windows is like, oh, nope, something's gone wrong. And yeah, if you're a 20-year-old program, maybe you're not using asynchronous programming to avoid these kind of mistakes. Aaron Bard says, can you expand asynchronous programming definition? Yeah, so programs run in what's called a process. And you can think of a computer program process much like your train of thought in your head, where you're thinking about, hey, I need to load the dishwashers. I'm going to go load the dishwashers. I'm going to put a dish in the dishwasher. I'm going to put a dish in the dishwasher, right? One thing at a time. And in order to put a dish in the dishwasher, you have to finish putting the previous dish in the dishwasher. However, sometimes doing only one thing at a time doesn't make for a very interesting program. So processes can have threads, where each thread is doing its own thing. You can think of a thread like a kitchen with a couple of people in it. One person's loading the dishwasher, one person's cooking on the stove, one person is grabbing stuff out of the fridge. But if you have a small kitchen, maybe there's a bit of space that you need in order to be able to put a certain dish away. And maybe the person who's cooking needs that space, maybe the person who does dishwasher needs that space. So every once in a while, those two people have to agree who gets to stand in that space. And whoever's standing in that space gets to do the thing, put the dish away, cook the food, and then when they're done, the other one can come in. And so you have resources where multiple threads can kind of block waiting for access to that resource. But when they're not blocking, they can each do their own thing. So you have a kitchen with multiple people. That's a process with multiple threads. And asynchronous programming is a technique that lets you, with one or more threads, in code more clearly state that I want to do this thing, but it could take a while for the thing to happen. For instance, putting some food in the microwave, right? It's kind of boring to put food in the microwave for 5 minutes, hit the button, and then just stare at the microwave. Asynchronous programming is a way for us to, as programmers, to say, hey, I think this thing is probably going to take a while. It's okay to go do the next thing while you wait for it. And when it goes beep, we'll come back, we'll pull the food out. So if your tasks are put the groceries into the refrigerator and heat up food in the microwave and unload the dishwasher, you might put the food in the microwave first and await the results of the microwave. And also, let's go on and put the groceries into the refrigerator. And we'll keep putting the groceries in the refrigerator, and the microwave has gone beep. We'll go ahead and pull the food out of the microwave. And it's not that you can't do things like asynchronous programming with other things, but it's a way of clearly writing your intent in code in a way that you couldn't fluently do easily 10, 15 years ago, and a lot of programming languages are really pulling that in rapidly now. So I probably got some of those details wrong there. That'll teach me for coming up with an analogy on the fly. But there's the very simple thing they teach you in school is an algorithm that does a thing. So you're looping through some data, you're calculating some stuff, you spit some out. Single-threaded, single-processed, you're just doing one thing at a time. But real-world programs get complicated fast. And there's a whole host of problems that come with this. Resource contention is one of them. If person A, thread A, needs a thing, and thread B needs a thing, that can be pretty easy to sort out. Just only one of them gets at a time. But what if they each need two things? And person A needs A and B, and person A needs item 1 and 2. Person B needs item 1 and 2. You have to be very careful about how you're getting these things. Because if person A gets item 2 and person B gets item 1, and they each need the other thing, and they're not going to let go of the thing they have until they get the other thing, and the other thing's not available, you have what's called deadlock, which is just never a fun thing to have. So there's all sorts of problems that come up when you enter the realm of multi-threaded or even multi-process programming that you didn't have to think about when you were a single-threaded program, because you knew what was happening. It's the thing that you're doing right now, and after this thing is the next thing. And so single process, single threaded programming is what you learn on as a student. It's the easiest to think about, to rationalize about, to reason about, and then you throw all the other stuff on top of it, and it just gets so much easier to mess up. So, okay. That being said, let's go ahead and reload this plugin one more time. Make sure we picked up that new code. Okay, we see that possible structure. Hide deed equals false, skip deed equals false. Okay, so we're getting all of these things. But are they initialized correctly? False, false, needs server cap is false. Let's go ahead and fix our level. And see what it says then. False, skip false, needs server cap is true. Level too high is true. Already complete is false. Okay, these are looking good. Let's go ahead and bump on up to 70. And we should see level too high is false, yes, but needs server cap is still true. Okay, so it looks like we've been able to package all of those things into a single result, a single table that'll be much easier to expand on or reorder if we have a better conceptual reordering. That being said, let's take a look at what that'll be. So we have we can have a local results, and looks like we aren't already using that in this function. So if we search for results, great, it's that. And from there, we can go ahead and we have hide deed, yep. We have skip deed, yep. Level too high, yep. Is category, yep. It's not available. It's already complete, needs server cap. So we can go ahead and return results. But we're going to need to account for this at each of those 3 call sites. So let's start with the main win. And what we really are getting is deed skip info equals this. And really, at that point, it's like deed info. It's not just deed skip info, but as a historical name. And the problem with deleting all those things is we need, instead of deleting them, we need to update them. So any uses of hide deed, we want that to be deed skip info.hide deed. Probably. It's kind of a cumbersome way to refer to it, but let's go ahead and update that. Awesome. We can get rid of it. Now we can look for skip deed, and really, nope, I don't want that. We can go ahead and search case sensitively. There we go. And we are going to go ahead and bring that into deed skip info dot skip deed. So what do we have? We have this. We have here skip deed equals. Interesting. Why are we overwriting that? Oh, of course. If there's a filter on the UI, well, fair enough. We'll go ahead and paste in that information as well. So skip deed, done. And we're just going to keep on going through here. Search for those cases of level too high. Nope, wrong key. All right, so what do we have here? Not level too high. Okay, we're going to replace that. Level too high, level too high. Great, that's a future. No, that is this one. Great. So we can delete that and just continue. If I were working with a more modern language like C# or a more, I don't know if modern is the right word. If I were working with a language like C#, I would be looking at refactoring tools that I trusted could find each and specific use of this variable, but not this name, because this name could be used all over the place. And I would trust it to find just the uses of this variable. I don't have that comfort level with the refactoring tools available for Lua and Visual Studio Code. It might be that they are up to the task. But in the meantime, I'm just using my human brain, followed by looking at it in the file comparison, making sure we've changed just what we want to change. All right, so we're looking for is category. Let's move along. Yeah, let's get a deed skip info. Okay, back to this. All right, we're going to replace that, replace that, replace that, replace that, replace that. So many is categories. The deed skip info name feels very verbose here. I don't like how many characters it's adding to every call of these variables. But it makes it very clear where this stuff is coming from, and I like that part of it. All right, let's go ahead and check for is not available. Because we can see it's not deed skip info is category, and not deed skip level too high, and it's available. All of these checks really makes you think that there should be a meta thing, and in that table, we'll probably do this, actually, now that I think about it. Okay. Add a meta entry to cover a case like this. All right, I got that in my head, because this is going to get better. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and replace that, yes, and this, and this, and that, and that. Awesome. Oh my goodness, 52. Oh, of course. Let's match the whole word. Okay, only 20, much better. Another meta category, should the checkbox be shown? Okay, and we're into another function actually, so that's great. We might have gone too far. Oh, not far enough. That should have been done. All right. Okay, that was completed. We're almost done here. We need needs server cap. Okay. Well, that might not be broken. Let's go ahead and reload here and see what we see. Okay, awesome. Well, it's not right. Of course, it's not right because that's only one of 3 places to fix. Oh my goodness. So, let's go look at those other places. We've got the deed skip info function here. We've just done the main win. So now there's 2 more. So we can actually see some of these aren't being used. Unfortunately, the amount of time it takes to tell me that, I'll just go ahead and do this searching. What? Where are we? Sorry, 272. And anything past 309 is out of there. So, all right. My favorite friend, taking a little screenshot. With smaller, simpler Lua files, the IntelliSense can be a lot faster. Okay. So, skip deed is category is already complete. We're going to make this taller. And we're going to go ahead and local deed skip info equals. And to fix. Oh, but we can see it's all local. So, get deed info. Okay. Much easier. And is already complete. So deed skip info is already complete. Okay, that's much easier. So it's not skipped, blah, blah, blah. So we could actually check with a doing a cascade completion, which is, of course, when you complete one thing and the next thing finishes as well. It didn't work. We're still not done, though. We've got to do all of these or it's not going to work. All right, so deed skip info equals this thing. Okay, that was hide deed. Okay, skip deed. Level 2 high is not available. Is category. Is complete. And needs server cap. Okay. That's a lot of effort for a little bit of cleanup. Let's see if it was worth it. Possible structure, nil. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, we should go fix that. Possible structure, no longer alphanumeric sensitive, and this is deed skip info. Well, the concern I have here is we got a bunch of stuff that's not marked complete. So it's not working right. And if it's not working right, I'm not very happy with it. Edo in chat says, hola, hello, welcome to me not coding things quite like I would want to. We're working on the Deed Tracker plugin for Lord of the Rings Online, and I was hoping I could do a refactoring and not mess it up. I think the answer is I did mess it up. And I don't know if it's worth spending a lot of time on. It's that deed skip info completed thing that's really got me worried, though. Let's get the perfect fellowship actually completed here. Reload the plugin. Is already complete is true. So we can see the value is true, but we're not marking it in the UI when we do the load. So maybe this is super simple. I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to be worth actually committing this. But with source control, super easy to throw it away and just say, nope, not today, Satan, or whatever. So we have the deed skip info. We want to come on over here. and take a look at is already complete. Oh, I see what the problem is, which is not great. We did not name things when we were using them the same way as they were getting named here. So there's two things, two places that we're doing this. Let's go ahead and minimize this down. Not that one. This one. Okay, so we can see we had hide deed, skip deed, level 2 high, is category, is not available, is already complete, needs server cap. Oh, that one is. Okay. Here, the return, that's fine. That's already complete. What about here? Hide deed, skip deed, level 2 high, is category, is not available, is complete. That's not going to work. Okay, so that's line 874. No, it's line here. Sorry, that's line 883. Yeah. Okay. So here is complete. Was being called is already complete. Now, is that actually better? I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. But it is, and it's a question, right? Like, let me hold off on answering that question a moment. We see is complete is being used over here, and what does main win do? Main win does completed. Ugh. SteadyEddie360 says, can you explain why you build your results table like that with the quotes wrapped indexes? It's a good question. Partially, I'm not an expert in Lua or even that great at Lua, and so I tend to repeat things that I know work. And so when I look at this, let's come back in here. Something I know doesn't work, or probably doesn't work, is not wrapping any quotes. Actually, I don't know that it doesn't work. So let's give it a try. What do you think? Yep, it didn't work. What didn't work? 142. Attempt to concatenate K a Boolean value. Well, that's funny. I don't think that was even the problem. No, and you know. Oh, because I changed how it was referencing. Anyway, so SteadyEddie, if you declare it like this, you can then use it like results.hide deed, and it works the same way. But declaring this without the quotes, I don't know how. I don't feel comfortable declaring tables well enough to know what all my options are. So I tend to default to this one because if you declare it like this, you can still access it like results.hide deed, and Lua just massages that for you. Let's see. If we're coming in to here, do we have any examples of other things? Let's see. X equals, Y equals. You do it without the quotes and brackets and use the dot notation. Yeah, that would probably be fine. The other thing I was worried about was I don't know how great Lua is at doing disambiguation between, say, the name of the key and the name of the variable we're using to populate the key. This is not ambiguous in C#, which is the language I have the most recent familiarity with, but I was concerned that it might be a syntactical mess for Lua to figure out. Let's see what happens. Well, loaded. SteadyEddie asks, or says, okay, I just do it without the quotes and brackets and use the dot notation. I wasn't sure if it was a better way of doing it. I have no idea if it's better. It's, what I'm used to. With your weight, you can also access the key via variable like results myString. Probably. Yes. So if you had a variable, because it's you're accessing via a string key, it works. But you've got me wondering. I'm still getting possible structure. Let's see. Let's go ahead and reload this. Under the covers, it looks like they are identical because I'm still getting a table with string keys being equal to things. And so I think under the covers, it's a syntactical identical thing. And I think here, I'm going to actually go with the bracket quote method to emphasize where I'm talking about the key versus the variable for a future maintainer, which is probably going to be me, because I don't need to be saying hide equals hide and wondering what am I really meant to do. So I'm going to use this technique explicitly to highlight key value, even though they're all the same name. And under the covers, we're getting the same resulting table. Great question, Steady Eddie. Thanks. Yeah, a lot of times if you see me doing something and you're like, why is he doing it like that? The answer might be he doesn't know any better. Like Lua is not my strong point. It's just a language that I know enough in to get things done that I want to get done. But I'll sometimes go weeks or months without really poking at it, except for this what we do on stream here. So I'll forget things. I will not know things. Definitely don't worry about bringing stuff up. It's like, hey, did you know you can do this other thing? It's way better. The answer is quite possibly no. I did not know that. Okay, great question. I am going to intentionally keep it like this for clarity in reading. Aaron Barrett says, is Lua just the plugin language, or is it for the whole game? The Lua is definitely just for plugins for Lord of the Rings Online. The actual game itself almost certainly was written in some combination of C, C++, C or C++. It is possible some very small bits of it were written in assembler. I don't know the details. I'm not an SSG or Turbine employee, so I can't give any insider information. Just knowing that it was a game written, first started to be written about 20 years ago, almost certainly some combination of C and C++. Lord of the Rings Online is a large thing. Like there are probably hundreds of thousands of source lines of code in there, and it might be incorrect to describe it as a monolith. It is probably using tools and third-party libraries and other things to make things go. And so while I would, be surprised if the core of Lord of the Rings Online that was produced first at Turbine, now at SSG, I'd be surprised if that was not C or C++. They're probably also using third-party libraries and tools and utilities, which were probably also written in C or C++. But there's some gray area there. Mashen in chat says, anyone know about plugins like Bartender in World of Warcraft? It's been a long time since I played World of Warcraft. But you've got me curious. Bartender 4 add-ons, World of Warcraft. Let's see, what is this? Oh, I was thinking it was a drink thing. It looks like it's an action bar thing. Fascinating. Okay. If this is the one you were talking about, Mashin, then Lord of the Rings Online does have toolbar-related plugins, but there is a limitation for Lord of the Rings Online that plugins do not get to intercept keyboard commands except for a few special ones. So, like the escape key, and a couple of other ones. But most keyboard commands do not get sent to plugins, because when plugins were first introduced into Lord of the Rings Online, they were very sandboxed in order to prevent excessive, basically botting, playing via plugins and not playing the game. And so plugins don't know, for the most part, when you are pressing keys for actions, and so plugins can create action bars that hold all sorts of different skills, inventory items, or whatnot. But what they can't do is have keyboard shortcuts to them, with some very, very, very exceptions. And so you wouldn't be able to bind them to like 1 through equals sign quite the same way you might be able to in World of Warcraft. I don't have enough knowledge of World of Warcraft to know what they can do, but I assume they might be able to intercept keyboard shortcuts in a way that LOTRO can't. Good question though. Yes, there are. If you're looking for Lord of the Rings add-ons or plugins, as they call them in this ecosystem, you can head on over to lotrointerface.com and search. Let's see. If I search for bar, there's going to be some stuff here, and we'll hold off on going through them. But I would encourage people who are interested in action bars to go check out what offerings there are. Aaron Bard says, is that where they get their visual assets libraries? I think SSG creates a lot of the visuals in here. I was thinking more like when you do a cutscene and a video shows, SSG probably didn't write a video player for those files. They probably licensed a third-party one, or used an open source one or something like that. That's just a guess. I don't actually know, but I would believe they would want to put their efforts in other places. So in-game cinematics, where the game stops and a movie plays, I could believe that is a third-party movie player, and it would also, in my mind, explain why the volumes levels of the game and the movie player might be different. Because the game's got its volume, and then you launch the movie player, and it might think it has its own volume. Aaron Bard, SSG, to my knowledge, has artists. They create lots of beautiful things for in the game. Thayan points out, Aaron Bard, you sent me down a wiki rabbit hole. There are a lot of games/apps that use Lua. Yeah, World of Warcraft famously its add-ons are Lua. Factorio does plugins in Lua. Lua is just a very this is where it shines, right? Is as a plugin language, or as a small language inside of a bigger area. Thayan points out the action bars in LOTRO are pretty easy to customize by default. Absolutely. That's a great point, Dan. By default, you can have 6 of them. The first 4 of them you can have keyboard shortcuts for quite easily, just by having your basic numbers and then Control, Alt, and Shift. But you can bind keyboard shortcuts to all of them if you want to. Roblox, Thayan points out. Roblox, which I did... Apparently I'm the wrong demographic for, because I first heard of that in a recent H-Bomber Guy video tangentially related to Roblox. And I was like, oh, that seems cool. I missed out. So you have options of, are these bars docked here? Are they not docked here? Are they vertical? Are they horizontal? How big are they? Like visually, you can scale them up and down. So there's all sorts of options you have for these built in to the game. And so you don't actually need plugins just to do those kinds of things. Just like you don't need a plugin to have an all bag. The game will support that right out of the box. But you can have a plugin for other things. And actually, one of the things I really like about plugins is, let's see, where did it go? Oh no, I've closed Windows. So I'm going to go into Documents, Lord of the Rings Online. Plugins, and I'm going to put Prime plugins back if I can find it. Remove that there, because one of the things I've been really enjoying is Prime bags, or at least my modification of it. Hey, look, unable to resolve Turbine UI extensions. We should probably put that back. Remove that there. Great. So I really like in prime bags that it is. Whoa, where'd my settings go? Hang on a second. I deleted all my settings. Oh man. Great. I really like in prime bags, as I was saying, the capability of auto sorting things in a way that really works with my process. And so I have in my shared storage bags for a bunch of things, the metal crit stuff, things for me, things that for my alts. So for instance, opals and aquamarines go into my jeweler, and my scholar weaponsmith gets stuff, and my woodworker gets stuff. And there's also stuff that I give to the character known as Rose, but that's a little redhead's character. And so when I'm out, oh hey, crafting. So being able to filter things and say, hey, I want that to go into the shield bucket, done. So when I'm out adventuring, or usually when I'm done adventuring, for me it's really nice to be able to come in and say, oh, okay, I'm just going to drop stuff into buckets. So metal buffs, okay, that one goes to Affodil, done. This goes to Schildwacht. And I don't have to think about it anymore. Like I can use the plugin to do that categorization for me, and it makes cleaning up at the end of a play session basically trivially easy. Like there's a few things that go outside of that, but for the most part, we can see just how easy it was to do that cleanup. And then my inventory's reset. And there's those things that are always in my inventory, the foods, the scroll bars, the whatevers, that I just go ahead and have that in a thing I call base. And that just sorts to the end, because I've modified the plugin a little bit. Aaron Meyer asked, could you add this to the breakout video that you were going to do on a carry-off Phil you mentioned last time? This one's not ready. I had to modify the prime bag a lot to make it work for my workflow, and now I need to work on getting those changes back into the main plugin, because this is not my plugin. I took it and ran in a direction, and they in the meantime have been doing their own changes, and so this is not available in any way in its current form. I mean, prime bags is, but the way it's working for me isn't quite available. So it can't go out yet, but in the short to near future. But I would encourage you to play around with prime bag if you're looking for an alternate inventory system. It's a very good complement to the normal in-game system. The only problem with it for me is that there's no little lock icon that enables the locking or unlocking of things when you're looking at selling. But you know, I can go into the shop and just be like, hey, show the locked things, and then I can lock or unlock things as I want, right? So it's a little bit of an annoyance not to be able to click unlock things based on that little button. But this prime bags has been really neat, and I want more people to be able to experience this the way I do. So that's on my to-do list, Aaron Bard. But no, this one's definitely not ready for prime time. The other one, I was going to cut it out. I thought it was a little bit too rambly, and I thought maybe I would just like to do a scripted video. But it is just at the beginning of, I want to say, last week's video. So it's pretty easy to find. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and unload. Let's come back to D-Tracker. Let's load it back up. And the real question is, are things being checked? And they're still not being checked because of that name problem that we were in the middle of. So, is already complete. I think we've seen is completed. We see completed. And I think is completed is probably the right version of that. So we need to come back in and fix that. So is already completed got removed. That's fine. Except, yeah, we want is completed. So let's find every instance of is already complete and maybe just replace it with is completed. Okay, so dskip info, yep, let's go ahead and modify that. is already complete, get deed complete. Let's go ahead and replace that variable. Is completed, if is completed, local is completed, cool, is completed, is completed. And then if we look at complete words completed, what we want to do is the same thing. Is we want to come back in and say, okay, this needs to be is completed, is completed, is completed, is completed. And any place that's indeed skip info, it definitely needs to be that. And we've hit another function, so we're out of there. Let's see how that works. Okay, we still don't have checkboxes, but I think we're getting closer. So is complete. That was plugin functions 874. Well, now it's over here. So we have is complete here. We're getting that as is completed. What's better, is complete or is completed? When in doubt, let's go to the game. The game in English says completed. So let's have it be is completed. So is complete needs to fix is completed, is completed. Okay. Surely that can't be it, right? That one function. Nope, not by itself. Okay. We have is completed. We also had completed there. We've hopefully fixed all of those to be is something. Is completed. All right. Well, in game, well, we're not getting that. Oh, we should be in instances, of course. Is completed is false. Okay. Let's come back into the perfect fellowship. Let's go. Oh, hey, of course we weren't seeing checkboxes. We had hidden completed deeds. Oh my goodness. Noob. Hey, that's promising. We're seeing checkboxes now. Oh my goodness. I think that's a sign that I've been looking at this too long and probably need to wrap it up. Little Redhead says, I'm interested in trying out his bag sorting sometime. Yeah, so a problem with the bag sorting that I want to integrate in to the actual plugin so other people can do it is, for me, I wanted the bags to be in a specific order. And so, you know, if I had a task item here, and I had some metal here, and Affidel there, and Schildwacht there, and Arda here, and Bearmar here, and some rose stuff here, I wanted those to show up in the same order in my bag as they do in shared storage. And I wanted my base bag to be after all of that, because that's the stuff I don't care about, right? The stuff at the top, that's the stuff I want to care about. And right now, in the categories, there's no way to order these things, right? Like, in fact, they don't even show up on my build. I had to write code to make them show up in alphabetical order. They were just showing up in random table order, which is just a hash table thing. And so what I want to add is the ability to move this up and down in this list. Like, by default, it gets added in alphabetical order, sure, or shown in alphabetical order, and there needs to be up and down buttons to be able to move this around in the list, like travel window or something. And because I had to hard code that base is here, but if I was using the real plugin, I still need that. Oh no, Airbart says, I clearly need to do something to improve my storage mojo. I lost my old man willow mini tree from my yard. When I lose things like that, I use Alt Inventory, have it on for all of my characters, and just log in and out of each one, opening up the personal storage of each one before I log out. And then that gets me a lot of coverage for things like cosmetic items that might have just been disappeared into someone's inventory. And I don't have to go look for it myself. I just open up Alt Inventory and say, please find me this thing in anyone's bag. Okay, so exciting news. We have checkboxes. Jeebus. Let's go ahead and complete the perfect fellowship. Let's go ahead and mark that as complete. Awesome. Perfect fellowship. Undo that. And then let's mark our level as 74. Great. It's not available. Let's go ahead and remark that. Awesome. Turn on verbose logging. Complete. Awesome. Skipping it. Let's go back into the 60s. We see the minimum level. Awesome. The checkbox disappears. Apparently that's a feature. Come back into the 70s. It's not available. Feels like the checkbox should still be hidden. That's an idea. Actually. Okay. Should checkbox be visible? Oh, that was this one. What was that one? Oh, I don't remember. Oh, that was should stats be included? Should stats be included for this deed? And that is LP VXP, LP VXP. Deeds on tab. Should checkbox be visible? Alright, so I want to look at that next time. Okay, so I would say we have gotten to the point where this attempt to break things apart looks complete, but it feels like it needs another once over to make sure that the names that were replaced are spelled exactly the same. And I don't think I have time for that tonight. So we're going to make a note to ourselves. Yep, my phone says it's time. Double check the spelling of the variables that used to be captured from get deed skip info with the new with the variables inside that the new return values structure. Okay, so that's the to-do item for next time. Begin with that. Oops. So we're going to go ahead and make a note to ourselves. Note, scenes done. Begin of next stream. Do this. Awesome. And also do this. Also do that. Okay. So we're good for this time. I think we've got a solid plan for starting next time. And then we'll go on to a few more things that are on the to-do list. Ill Omens will be finishing up this next week. And after that, my time for plugin related things is going to skyrocket because I'm sort of going to be not getting all of my Ill Omens stuff. And so this is going to be hopefully finished up right after that. We'll have some time to dedicate to this. If you are listening to this live and have any last minute thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, that kind of thing, let's toss it into chat pretty soon because I think I'm going to look at this a little bit and then call it a day. So we're going to go ahead and commit these to-do file changes. We've got these main win renames here. We've got these plugin function rename things. And those are what we're going to double check next time before doing the commit. And as I play this weekend, this week, a little bit here and there, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for error messages or misbehaviors that seem like they're related to this. Because when we have are renaming this many variables, especially without using refactoring support, refactoring tools that are probably available. We did that a little bit manually. Mistakes can creep in. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for those. All right, close that on down. Yeah, we can do that. All right. Well, I've hit the unload button and it's not great that it's taking extra time. That's a little concerning. It's gone though. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. And Brad says, thanks for your details and expertise. If you do a mini video on your storage system and how you use the plugins you use, I'd be very interested. Yes, it's one of those things that I think I would like to do, and it's probably more of a March thing than a February thing, maybe even further beyond. But very excited. I got my tax paperwork all done for 2020 and sent it off to the person who does our tax returns, which is like 7 months earlier this year than last year, which is pretty cool. So it's one less thing hanging on the to-do list, and that's neat. So there's potential. Well done, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they say about that. They may get back and say, nope, it's all wrong. Oh, did you not hear about these 17 changes to the tax code? We'll see. Well, that's all we are going to cover today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you here next week. And until then, keep plugging along. All right. Bye-bye now.